That is all. But we begin tonight with a man named Lieutenant Colonel Victor Fehrenbach, an F-15 fighter pilot, an 18-year veteran of the United States Air Force. On September 11th, Lieutenant Colonel Fehrenbach was picked to be part of the initial alert crew immediately following the 9/11 attacks. The following year, in 2002, he deployed to Kuwait, where he flew combat missions over Afghanistan, attacking Taliban and al-Qaeda targets. After the U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2003, Lieutenant Colonel Fehrenbach deployed there, flying combat missions in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Over the span of his career, he has flown 88 combat missions, including missions that were the longest combat sorties in the history of his squadron. He logged more than 2,000 flying hours, nearly 1,500 fighter hours, 400 combat hours. Lieutenant Colonel Fehrenbach is also highly decorated. He's received 9 air medals, including one for heroism. After 18 years of active duty in the Air Force, this experienced, decorated fighter pilot says he is ready and willing to deploy again. He's ready to do whatever his country and the United States Air Force ask of him. The military is now firing him. He's just been informed by the U.S. military that his career is over. After 18 years of service, less than 2 years shy of being able to retire with a full Air Force pension, he's being discharged from the U.S. Air Force under the military's don't ask, don't tell policy. Despite a record of documented heroism, an unblemished career, despite the fact that he estimates the U.S. military spent roughly $25 million training him, Lieutenant Colonel Fehrenbach is being fired. He was informed of his impending discharge in September. He and his lawyer have tried to delay his appeal as long as possible, hoping that the new president would fulfill the pledge that he made as a candidate to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So far, that hasn't happened. But today, there were 2 important developments on that front. The first is the Obama administration's decision to accept an appeals court ruling in favor of another discharged Air Force pilot. Essentially, that ruling said that the government has to prove why the continued service of a gay service member, in this case a woman, is a threat to military discipline. The Obama administration could have appealed that ruling to the Supreme Court, but they chose not to. The other development was far less promising. It came from the Pentagon, which announced today that it has no plans to end Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and they say they do not anticipate being asked to end Don't Ask, Don't Tell anytime soon.
I do not believe there are any plans underway in this building for some expected but not articulated anticipation that Don't Ask, Don't Tell will be repealed. This building views Don't Ask, Don't Tell as the law of the land until Congress acts otherwise. To my knowledge, David, there are no internal planning efforts underway in anticipation of a change in that law.
It is in the shadow of these political promises left unfulfilled that Lieutenant Colonel Victor Fehrenbach now faces his impending dismissal from the military, a decision that he challenged but so far has lost. Schiff in a moment. But first, one more thing. The latest person to call out President Obama for his waffly at best position on Don't Ask, Don't Tell is Meghan McCain. On the Colbert Report last night, she had this to say about the president's delay in repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
And I do believe that the Republican Party can be a safe place for the gay community. President Obama said he was going to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I think me and a lot of people are still waiting for that. And the Democratic Party isn't necessarily a better place for the gay community than the Republican Party is.
When a Republican says that the Republican Party is as vigilant on justice and equal rights as the Democratic Party, and you can't immediately laugh that Republican out of the room, Democrats have a problem. Mr. President, you have a problem.